I wanted to talk about marriage and how God probably sees marriage. I know the church believes that you should have a marriage license to be married in the eyes of God. But marriage licenses are man-made. And if you study the history of a marriage license, it had to do with getting permission for a white person and a black person to get married. And the state made so much money on this that they made it for everyone. Adam and Eve did not have a marriage license when they got married. They didn't have a church wedding. They didn't go to the courthouse and get married. It was God that made them husband and wife. So I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman and God. And marriage is really like a prayer away. Just like when you accepted Jesus as your Savior, you prayed and invited Him into your heart. Getting married is inviting that person into your heart. When a man asks a woman to be his wife and she says yes, and the wife asks the man to be her husband and he says yes, and they move in together to live together, they become husband and wife. It's all about the heart, not a piece of paper. Now, I'm not saying that teenagers should do something like this. It has to do with being old enough and mature enough to decide that you want to spend your life with that person and make a home with that person and build a family with that person. And you're grown up and you get your own place together and you become husband and wife. But it has nothing to do with a piece of paper. There are people out there who get legally married. They hate each other's guts and they're not even really married spiritually. And I'm not saying it's wrong to get legally married or have a nice wedding, but it's more deeper than just a piece of paper. Marriage has to do with oneness, becoming one with each other. And there's a lot of married couples that are not one with each other. They actually hate each other. So marriage has to do with oneness. It has to do with unconditional love for that person and becoming one in spirit, body, soul, and mind. And there's married people who legally they get married, but spiritually they are not one. And they might be one physically because a lot of married people will have sex with each other and have kids. But spiritually and emotionally they're not one. They fight all the time. And I don't think that truly they're married when they fight. They're basically divorced from each other when they fight. And yeah, you do have those times when you argue and disagree with your loved one. But I also think that it really depends on how you argue. You can disagree in love, but when you start calling each other names and physically attacking each other and emotionally attacking each other, then you are divorcing each other. And so divorce is more deeper than a piece of paper. Divorce is separation physically, spiritually, and mentally. But when people go to court and they get a legal divorce, a legal paper, they have already been divorced a long time ago. They already divorced themselves spiritually and emotionally from each other, even though they may live in the same house together. And I think at that point, they do need to physically separate and end the marriage because it's not really a marriage anymore, made in heaven. But, in the very beginning, God made marriage between a man and a woman and God. Is a covenant between the man and the woman and God, and it has nothing to do with anybody else but that man and woman and God. But the church would like to make you think that you're living in sin with somebody if you don't have a legal document from the government. And when you get married legally, you pretty much sell yourself to the government, you and your spouse and your children. And so I just wanted to share that with you. I know when gay marriage became legal, a lot of married Christians burned their marriage documents because they didn't want to associate their marriage with the government because they felt the government is ungodly. But marriage has nothing to do with a piece of paper, but with your covenant between God and that person. And I just wanted to share that with you.